What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, you are watching TWA Motorsports. And today, yes, we're taking the rear end out of the Trans Am. But before we do that and talk about why, I want to catch you guys up on some of the parts sales, right? So remember, I made a video talking about some of the parts that I sold, and it actually went really quick. And but I want to catch you up on a few things, and then there's some stuff I probably could add to it that we've been using lately. Anyway, let's get over here to look at what we're in this thing. Remember the last video where we let off? Guys, I bought this car for $6,000. I'm considering that it cost me $100 to go get. So $6,100 is technically what I needed out of it to get a free motor and transmission. I sold $3,710 worth of parts, leaving me in it $2,390. Now, not much has happened since then. I sold the interior to a buddy, and I'm talking like all the interior panels, the carpet, for $400. So that leaves me in it $1,990, technically $1,890 if you exclude my $100 for going to get it. Okay. Look, I don't know if I'm going to make any more videos on that. I'll catch you guys up on it randomly as I remember. I don't have a ton of stuff left that's popular that wants to sell. Now, I've had people reach out about the rear end. I don't want to sell the rear end, and the main reason why I don't want to sell it is because then, guys, it's not going to be mobile. So I'm going to have a tractor pick it up to get it out of here, and I don't want that. So kind of the plan here is to get maybe a few more parts off of it. I'm sick of it sitting here. So if I get a few more parts sold, great. If not, I'm going to sell it as a roller. And when I say roller, in the last video on it, you saw we pulled the motor and trans. It's still sitting up here. I need to get that off the K-member, get the K-member back under it. But you're probably wondering, well, like, why would you pull the rear end then? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Well, that brings us to this car right here. So I bought this car. Obviously, you guys have probably seen the video on it. A couple videos now. We bought it. I made a video on that. I made a video on swapping the wheels from here to here. That is obviously not moving, so I thought it'd be kind of cool, and I don't like black wheels. You guys know how I feel about that. And then obviously we lowered it. Now, when I say we lowered it, technically, guys, that's about $900 worth of drop suspension, plus another $500–600 worth of sway bars that I got with this car back here that I'm gonna be using. So technically, I could take probably another $1,400, $1,300 off of that number if you consider I would have bought that stuff anyway. Whether you take it off or not, it's still parts that I got that I didn't have to buy. So anyway, so the rear end situation. This is a 6-speed car. This is a 6-speed car. All 6-speed cars in the F-body platform came with a 342 rear end. Now, this one is heads cam. So is this one. But this has a little bit of surge, and I think it would do, look, I think it needs a retune, to be honest with you, but I think it would be an absolute blast to put 410s in this car. So I have purchased some 410s. I have worked out a deal with the same person, a buddy of mine, that bought the interior, the carpet and the panels. He wants the dash, he wants the steering wheel. So for that stuff, he is going to give me the labor for doing the gear swap. He's done a couple sets of them. So instead of pulling this car apart and have another one apart in the garage, we're just going to pull this rear end out. He's going to do this one, and then we're going to transfer it into this so we don't have multiple cars down, if that makes sense. So the F-body rear end, there's a couple variants of it as well. There's a 3-channel and a 4-channel. Okay, these are actually both 4-channel, which is another reason why I'm doing it this way. How can you tell if you have a 4-channel or not? Well, the easiest way to tell is to pop the hood and look to see if you have one of those little boxes right here. If you have that box that is now up on that fender, they'll have lines coming into it and then a single line coming out into the throttle body. That means you have a traction control car. If you guys saw under the hood of that car, it is a 3-channel car, so it's only got ABS, okay? These suck. I just don't like a 4-channel rear end. I don't like that additional junk under the hood. I don't think the traction control works that great anyway, but to go from a 3-channel to a 4-channel or 4-channel to 3-channel is a pain in the butt. So the fact that they're both 4-channel is nice. Pull one out, not have to worry about getting it back fast, not having to worry about this being apart. We can then move it over here. Now, I know what somebody's gonna say. Why would you waste your time putting 410s in a 10-bolt? Well, guys, this car is never gonna see the drag strip. It's really not. And it's never going to be on a super sticky tire launching at 6,000 RPMs on the street or track or whatever. And so I think it'll hold up for what we want to do. It's going to make the thing so much more fun to drive. It's just going to blow the tires off, which is really why I bought this car, is just to have fun. Okay, I didn't buy this car to drag race. I bought it as a fun car that we could all get in. It's a manual, drop the top. It's a fun car. So anyway, let's get started. I've rambled enough. Let's get started on trying to get some of the crap I've got tucked up under here out, and kind of show you how this rear end is in here. Now, we've already removed some of the parts that could potentially be in your way, such as the exhaust. We're not going to be dealing with that, but let's get under there and see what we need to unhook first. Now, to get the rear end out of one of these cars, one of the very first things you're going to do, obviously, get it off the ground, but you're going to have to take the drive shaft out. You can see it's already out of this thing. What happens is you're going to take the straps loose. I'm going to show you here in a minute. They're on the other side. And then you're going to push the drive shaft forward. That will get it out of the rear end. I've got the straps right here. That's what these guys are. And so those are 11 millimeters generally. Anyway, we've got those out already. So that's step one down. The next step is you would generally have to, you don't have to take your exhaust out, but believe me, when it's out of the way, it's a lot better because generally the exhaust goes over the top side of it. That's not back here right now, but just know that there's a potential you could have to move the exhaust even though it goes on the top side. Now, one of the things I'm going to start with here is I'm going to unplug everything on the outer edge of the axle. So we're going to have to eventually move our jack stands to the body because, well, this rear end is going to come out. But I can go ahead and unclip everything and get those kind of in the middle. So this is our ABS line. And then we're gonna have probably another one up top there because there's a sensor on the actual differential in the center. I'll try to show you that here in a minute. But the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to unclip our e-brake right here, which means we need to pull this spring forward and pull this guy off. Now, I found the easiest way to get the e-brake line out, and I've got it over here, is to take a pair of needle nose pliers and push in these tabs. It'll then pull out of this holder. You can then thread it out this opening, and then you can literally just push it off and around, and it's out of the way. You can see I've got our wiring fed to the center here. We're gonna have to work on that, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the exact same stuff on the other side. Now, at this point, I've lifted the rear end a little bit to renegotiate my jack stands under like this part of the frame here. Look, if your torque arm's still hooked up, it's probably not going to do this, but you can see how the front of mine has went down. Obviously, it's not going to do that if it's still hooked to the transmission. The back is not going to want to roll forward like what it's doing. But while it's doing that, and it's giving me the room, I'm going to go ahead and take our two 21 millimeters out that hold our rear end to the actual torque arm. Okay, so let's take the nut off the bottom. It's a 21 on both sides, top and bottom, and then we can get that loose. And then we'll concern ourselves with possibly getting some of the wiring loose, or move on to like the springs and the bottom of the shocks and the A-arms, the torque arm, or sorry, the panhard rod. Got several little pieces to get out. Now that we got the torque arm off, I've moved up here. This is a 21 millimeter on the panhard rod side and an 18 on the inside. Not really sure about that, why GM chose to do that, but I'm actually going to take it loose on both sides. I know we don't have to get the rear end out, but I'm just going to have it out of my way so the rear end's not like accidentally hitting it. Same situation on the other side, 18 on the inside and 21 on the outside. Next thing I did was we took the 22 millimeter out that holds the shock in place, and now I'm going to tackle the 18 that goes to the lower control arm. Got the panhard rod out, and then we can lower the rear end and get the springs out next. I actually just unplugged this back here. You can see the plug, the harness, and that goes to all the center section. But now I'm going to reposition my jack and get the brake lines loose, and the springs will come out, and we will be finished. There's just two brake lines right here on this side. Yeah. And then, sorry, I'm filming. I got the guy who a buddy of mine's inside the car. He thinks I'm talking to him, and I'm sitting here filming. But anyway, we're getting really close. I've just got to take these lower A-arms or the control arms out, and like I said, reposition the jack. I don't want it rolling off the jack. But then we're finished. I'm just going to knock those two brake lines loose now. This thing is out. Well, I mean, you can kind of see that it's out, loose. But get this, while I was doing all that, Jason was in here getting the dash. So he made pretty quick work of it. Had a majority of it out before I was able to get the rear end out. So he's loading it up right now. And then, yeah, he's gonna be one taking care of this rear end. So I don't know when we'll cut back in on this video. And maybe we won't, but it's gonna be a little bit before he can get around to changing out the gears. But hey, it's out. So's the dash. I actually think this is where we're gonna end this video, guys. We've got, we did take the brakes off, the lines and the calipers. Literally, to take those off, there's a 13 millimeter that holds the brake lines together in the middle. There is just little tabs that you bend over to get the brake lines off, and then 15 millimeters to get the calipers loose. Just took the bracket and all, but I'm gonna leave those off. It was a little lighter for him and me, honestly, to load in the back of his truck, and I think he kind of wanted them off there. It just makes his life a little easier, but he's gonna be setting up the gears. I got a set of 410s, like I said, guys. We'll just see how they work. But I think the next video on this car that you're gonna see will hopefully be, and actually probably won't even be on this car, it'll be the rear end back, and we will use some like POR 15, maybe some cleanup, and get that thing all cleaned up and hopefully installed in the red car. I'm really excited to try those 410s with this car. I think it'll make it a lot of fun. But hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, guys, like always, go down there and hit that thumbs up button. Of course, if you are not subscribed, go hit the subscribe, ring that bell notification. That will notify you every single time we drop a new video. And stay tuned to see what we work on next.